Well, hey, and welcome everybody to this First Thoughts video on Canterlot Boutique. This is entirely unscripted, unedited, and again, forgive me if it sounds super scatterbrained, but I just saw the episode and I'm trying to get the thoughts out immediately. So, yeah, here we go. So this is the beginning of the second half of season 5, which everybody was super psyched for. And I just have to raise one question. Does this episode make up for it? Me personally, kind of, I think. I mean, like, they had us on a month-ish long waiting period. And in that time, we've had a lot of people just suddenly get cabin fever, and they're like, "We want more pony. We want more pony." So to have an episode like this occur, one that has like really no world building, no real I mean, there's development. There's definitely development because Rarity, as the episode name suggests, she gets a boutique in Canterlot, which is awesome. That's what she's been talking about since the beginning of the frickin' show. And, well, hey, hats off to her. But then we get to the actual boutique, and then we're immediately introduced to her manager, Sassy Saddles. And, of course, the minute everybody saw her, everybody was immediately saying, "Oh, fleur-de-lis recolor, fleur-de-lis recolor." And that's kinda true. I mean, she does have some qualities that are close to fleur-de-lis, but hey, she's definitely got way more of her personality. Yeah, she's bossy at times when she gets wrapped up in things, but that's because she's super passionate about it. I mean, hey, Rarity used to be like that before. Remember when she had the frickin' sweatshop of, her friends in Rarity Takes Manhattan? It took her until the end of the episode to realize, oh, I kind of let everything get too out of hand. So I gave the benefit of the doubt to Sassy Saddles, and hey, what do you know? She's a decent person. Well, not person. She's a decent pony now. And I like the way it was written. Definitely like the way it's written because it helped give Rarity a bit more of a backbone, especially since not Made in Manhattan. Especially since Rarity Takes Manhattan, because after being manipulated by Suri, she's kind of learned to not let her generosity get the better of her, because otherwise ponies are going to walk all over you. If she had not gone through that and continued on to this episode, I'm pretty sure that lesson would have been learned in here. That's why people are referring it as Rarity Takes Manhattan Part 2. Because it seems like a continuation of that point. And I have to kind of give props to Amy for this one. Because the episodes that she's made after Philly Vanilli and the massive upset that caused, they've been getting better. They've definitely been getting better. And this one is not what everyone was expecting for an opening, but then again, people weren't expecting the cutie map as a season premiere either. And that's like one of the most loved ones to this day. So I think in a way this is a good way to make up for the month-long wait that we've been sort of, sitting around toiling for. In terms of the episode itself, I like how the characters were portrayed. Except for Pinkie Pie, of course, because I'm sorry, but I don't think Amy really knows what the hell to do with Pinkie Pie. At all. She was in the beginning of the episode. She did help advance the plot, but at the same time, it took her a while to get everything, to actually get things rolling, considering that she needed to do her alliteration. There's a lot of alliteration in this episode, by the way. Mainly from Sassy, because she is basically like... her quotes are almost as corny as Robin's from, like, the 1960s Batman. But that added a little bit of humorous comedy. I mean, it was kind of forced on us over and over and over, but you warm up to it after a bit, like puns. But I like the way everyone was portrayed, except Pinkie Pie, of course, and Twilight as well, actually, because in order to help out her friend, I mean, I understand it's to help out her friend, and you should always be there for your friends, but she was kind of using her princess status to somebody else's advantage. Like, just one individual's advantage. Which kind of threw me off, because I'm sitting there thinking, really? Since when would Twilight willingly sell herself out for somebody else's benefit? But that's beside the point. Again, Twilight's not the focus of the episode. It's entirely on Rarity. And as I said before, I like how Rarity grew a backbone, but it took until nearly the end of the episode. And I've definitely been in the same situation that she's been in before, because, well, I'm a chef. And as a chef, I have to make the exact same meals over and over and over and over, to the point where they lose their flair. They lose their individuality. They lose what makes them special. And to be able to deviate from it every now and then is a welcome change, but that's not what everybody wants. Especially when something has been so ridiculously hyped up to the point where it's like everybody wants it that exact same way because they've heard that that way is the best. I guess you could say it's almost sort of like an analogy to the episodes as well, because if each episode is written the exact same way, whether they'd all be action-based, or comedy-based, or slice-of-life-based, or fantasy-based, or hell, even like season premiere or season finale based, they would lose their flair, they would lose their individuality, they would lose what makes them special. Which is kind of ironic, considering that within the next month or so, we're going to have, including this episode, we're having 3 episodes of Rarity. Like, one after another after another. And they're all going to be relatively similar, because from my understanding, they're all probably going to take place in Canterlot or Manhattan, which I'm excited to see, but at the same time, I'm a bit apprehensive because it's Hasbro's way of sort of saying, do as I say, not as I do, which is, I find that hilariously ironic. But we'll see what happens. We will definitely see what happens. And oh, the song. I almost entirely forgot about the song. I don't know how that happened. I'm not a fan of it, really. I didn't like it. It seemed to just sort of come out of nowhere. Like, I understand it's a kid's show. The majority of them have songs. That's the point. But it just didn't... I think the episode could have gone perfectly fine without it. It wasn't needed. All it was basically Rarity's way of saying, I'm getting tired of making the same stuff over and over and over and over and over. Oh, wait, let me try and deviate from the norm a bit. Oh, wait, nobody likes when I deviate from the norm. So let's go back to making the exact same dress. And then in the second half, she remembers, oh yeah, I know exactly what I love about my job. And making each individual dress with their own individual themes, their own individual settings, and their own individual story. And it's just sort of like, she kind of pulled a Pinkie Pride, where she was her own self-motivator, which I like, because there are times when you can't, where you're not able to rely on other people for support. You just sort of have to be like, okay, I need to hype myself up, otherwise this is just gonna run itself into the ground. And yeah, the ending was kind of rushed, I think. All of a sudden, Sassy Saddles is like, oh, wait, everything's falling apart. I'm immediately a good person now because, oh, I want everything to work properly, and I'm doing this all for the sake of the shop, and not for my own greed. And we'll see how that turns out for the Canterlot boutique. Also, that ending, what the heck? That was entirely out of nowhere. The entire episode has been focused just solely on Rarity. It's been relatively serious. Then all of a sudden, just this giant pony comes out of nowhere. And they don't even bother to give her a name. That's what that made me sad, because this pony was like, she's the first overweight adult pony we've seen throughout the entire episode. I mean, we've seen chubby ponies before. We've seen we've seen actually a couple of chubby colts. One whose name I think is Truffle Shuffle, or Teacher's Pet, or something like that. But to see a ridiculously large pony, adult, that raises so many questions. But hey, I mean, that's how Hasbro wanted to do it, so I'm not gonna question it too much. Overall, the episode, I think it was decent. It wasn't the worst, but it wasn't anything really spectacular. It has a lot of repeating things from Rarity Takes Manhattan, but then again, lessons like this aren't learned from just one occurrence. Hell, look at the majority of Fluttershy episodes. It's her coming over her own fears, and she's learning it from a different aspect or a different angle every single time. And that's how life is. I mean, you don't just forget, or you don't just overcome an emotional distress or an emotional problem like that in just one go. It takes time. It takes sometimes multiple occurrences of that same thing to happen in order for you to, actually learn from it. So, I'm kind of wanting to see at least maybe one more episode similar to this. Not exact, because, well, again, that would just be the pure irony of this episode, but again, similar. To the point where Rarity can be like, okay, I'm gonna be generous, but I also have to be stern. No pony's gonna walk on me or tread on me anymore. So those are my first thoughts on Canterlot Boutique. Hopefully this wasn't too totally scatterbrained. It was kind of late considering it came out yesterday, but I was out pretty much all day yesterday, and I hadn't had a chance to see it until about 20 minutes ago. Alright, thank you so much for listening, and have a good one.